the 7 last plagues. If you ask a random person on the streets, what do you think, what do you know about Revelation from the Bible? What does it represent? Most assuredly you're going to get one of those answers. Doomsday, the end of the world, or the destruction of the planet Earth, or something similar. In this week's lesson, when we're reading through chapter 15 in the book of Revelation, we're going to come to the closest of such associations. We're talking about the last 7 plagues that represent God's wrath poured down on the planet Earth and the people who are living in it. There is no double meaning anymore, no need to read between the lines. It's all real.
It's important to remember the context of this whole thing, though. It's a revelation given from Jesus to his beloved disciple, John, and through him to his church, to help them at the time and us today have an idea and basic understanding of what is going on. Jesus came, died for us, shaped our world, showed us a way and love from different dimensions. But then he left. And now what? Well, okay, he said he's coming back, but when? Why? How would we know? And here is where Revelation is providing us with a very dynamic sequence of messages and imageries to spin your head around and to make you say, oh, wow, wait a minute. What is all this? It's probably not by chance that Revelation is the last book of the Bible. You need to have an understanding of the things before that to be able to digest these messages. Jesus' sacrifice won the victory in the controversy with Satan. Satan's days are numbered. But since then, it has been a question for us to make a choice and take a stand. It has been a fierce battle for both sides to make their cases. And we have followed much of this through the previous scenes in the vision that John is describing. And we're almost at the end. This whole ordeal will end, but it won't be a simple thing. The worst and longest mega war that our world has experienced will have a dramatic end.
I would like to start my thoughts with this, that the 7 plagues represent only the final stage of God's wrath, represented through the 7 trumpets that we already read about. And historically, they encompass the period from the time of the early church till the end of time when Jesus comes. However, there is one enormously distinguishable difference between the 7 plagues and the 7 trumpets. The 7 trumpets represented God's judgment with the purpose of bringing people back to repentance from their evil actions, where the 7 plagues represent God's judgments in the sense of punishment. There is no more grace. Any probation period has ended, and consequences are final. The 7 plagues are happening just in the last days before Jesus comes.
The lines were drawn. The sides are clear. It's time for justice and truth. So John sees 7 angels coming out of the temple, and they were given 7 bowls containing the wrath of God. Lots of symbolism here. Sin can't survive in the presence of God. Darkness vanishes in the presence of light. There are consequences for everything. And this wrath of God is not the anger that we experience, but it's in this impossibility to coexist with sin. But before getting into that, the lesson refers to 7 other plagues that we know more about from the history in the Bible.
And the plagues are closely related to those that were applied against the Pharaoh and the Egyptians, as we read in the book of Exodus. They were nasty. They were harsh, destructive, afflicting a lot of damages and illnesses to the people. None of them affected God's people back then, though. None of them will affect those who follow the Lamb wherever it goes at the end of time. The first 4 plagues strike the population in general. It starts with festering sores that break out on the people who had the mark of the beast and worshipped its image. Then we see a plague affecting the sea, another one affecting the rivers and the springs of waters, and the 4th one affecting the sun. What do all affected people do in response to all of that? They curse the name of God, as per verse 9.
Pharaoh's heart was hardened. And this is the key here. It's about this time when there is no repentance anymore. Conscience is not working anymore. There are no moral censors. There is only escalation, blame, and hate.
As much as I'm not surprised what was God doing through those 7 plagues, I can't stop asking myself, why? Why is he doing it? It's merciless, it's vicious, it's cruel. Is God cruel? I found my answers in verse 5 and 6. You are just in these judgments, O Holy One. Why? For they have shed the blood of your holy people and your prophets. Aha! This brings us back to why God has his times of judgments on this earth. Because of justice, because of the suffering of his people who cry day and night before his throne and humbly expect his intervention, not his vengeance.
All these spiritual forces working with paganism, spiritualism, and Christian systems that divorced from Christ will perform mighty miracles and wonders. It will be a display of force, probably to convince themselves and to appease the conscience that doesn't work anymore. We don't know how will all this actually develop, but I can see it as very natural. We all know how we escalate, how ugliness and cruelty get crazy when we get in dark places. When the light withdraws, it gets cold and scary.
Yes, God strikes also the throne of the beast, and with the 6th plague, he dries up the waters of Euphrates. Finally, the 7th plague is poured out into the air. And this is the end of the ends. It is done, comes a voice out of the temple. And there is a lot of meaning and symbolism in the events that are happening in the last 3 plagues. And I encourage you to go and read more into the lesson and also into outside research. I believe you will find that it talks about a lot of deception in the end of time. Also talks about turmoil in the sense of civil, secular and political rivalry between powers and their lost trust in the leadership of Babylon. It talks also about a battle at Armageddon. Not a physical one, but a spiritual one that will determine who is the legitimate ruler of the universe. And it's a battle between God and the forces of evil. And then Christ will come.
There are lots of speculations about this battle at Armageddon, but the lesson points at 2 main points from this symbolic name and location. First is the association in relation to many decisive battles in the history of Israel. And second is the association with Mount Carmel, where Elijah defeated the prophets of Baal and where the question, who is the true God, got answered. And this is what this battle is about. A decisive battle where the question, who is the true God, will get answered. There is one last global spiritual confrontation, and then it's time for judgment.
So that's why join us next week when the title of our lesson is Judgment on Babylon.